Hello listeners and viewers. Welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hello, my learners. You are welcome to today's segment of e-learning. I am happy to meet you once again. How are you? How has it been with you? And how is your studies? I hope you are staying safe and you are staying at home. Today, the topic of our lesson of today in our civic education is election. What did I say? Election. Election is our topic of today. What is this election? Let's define election. Election is an electoral process by which electorate or voters choose or elect between or among candidates of political parties to political position or offices. I take it again. Election is an electoral process by which electorate or voters choose or elect between or among candidates of political parties to political positions or offices. In a layman language, when we bring it back home, we can say election is the choosing of people who will represent you in a certain position. Choosing your representatives. That is what we call election. Such position may be that of the president, the governor, the chairman, or legislatures. If we bring it home, we can even say the position can be the monitor, even in your class, or the prefect that will represent you in a school. All this, as you engage yourself in that activities of choosing those representatives, what you are doing is election. Now, there are different types of election. There are two main types of election, which we want us to discuss today. One of it is open ballot. What did I say? Open ballot system. What is this type of system all about? This type of system is when electorate queue up behind their preferred candidate in an election in an open place. This type of election, that we call ballot, open ballot system, is when the electorate queue up behind their preferred candidate, that is their choice, in an election and in an open place. They may also signify support by raising up their hands in the election. Let's come back home. In the school, when you are electing your monitor in the school, or in your prefect in the school, sometimes they will say, those for Master A, come and stand behind Master A, or raise up your hand, and they will count the supporters. And the person that get the highest vote is, or the highest supporters, is now the winner. And this type of system is what we call open ballot system. And this system can lead to violence and attack on opposing voters, because the choice of the electorate are known. For example, if you said, let Master A stand here, let Master B stand here, those that are for Master A should stand behind Master A, or they should raise up their hand. Those that are for Master B should stand behind Master B or raise up their hand. You will now be able, because it is an open system, those that are supporters of Master A can be known and can be seen. Those that are for supporters of Master B can be known and can be seen. And with that, those that are the rival party or the opposition party can know their rivals and also attack them. And that is why we said it can lead to violence, especially when one part feel they are not ready to accept the result of the election. It can lead to violence. We also have another type of election, which we call it secret ballot system. Secret ballot system. What is this secret ballot system? Is when the electorate cast their vote for candidate of their choice in an enclosed place using ballot papers. I take it again. This secret ballot system is when the electorate cast their vote for candidates of their choice in an enclosed place using ballot papers. This type of system, because of the secrecy of this type of system, the safety of the voters are guaranteed, because you do not know who they elect. The electorate go into an enclosed, maybe box, room, or whatsoever that is provided. They go there, they use a ballot paper to cast their vote, and it is not written on their faces whether they cast the vote for Master A or Master B. And with that, no one can attack them. And this type of system is what we are using in Nigeria. For example, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cameroon, this type of election has been used. And it's also guaranteed the safety of the electorate. No one will attack them, because no one knows who they voted for. Now, even under this open ballot and secret ballot system, we also have a type under that, which we call direct and indirect election. Direct and indirect election. How do direct election come to be? Direct election is when electorate choose their representative by themselves in a free and fair election. You see, don't get confused. That other one is the type, and this one is under the type 2, direct election. Now, the electorate, like what happened the last election, the electorate goes to the voting unit and vote the candidate of their choice that will be in that office. directly. If it is Master A, they want him to be there, they will elect Master A. If it is Master B, they want him to represent them, they will elect Master B. It can be either in an open system or in a secret system. That is what we call direct election. While we have the indirect election, this type of election is when few people who constitute an electoral college elect representative on behalf of the majority voters. For example, in USA. Now, not the whole populace. They are not the ones that go to vote. No. Now, the representatives of the population, they are called the electoral college. They are the ones that will come now and elect the final person that will sit on that seat, whom they feel can deliver, whom they feel can represent the people. That is what we call indirect election. Remember, those are the people that you have trust in. You believe in their judgment. And because you believe in their judgment, you have trust in them, they will now go ahead to elect somebody who will also be in the final seat that will represent the whole people and do things according to the interest, protect the interest of the people. So that is how about direct and indirect election. Now, in the time of election, there are certain procedures that should be followed before election will take place. Not that you just stand up in one day and say, okay, everybody come, let's have election. No, there are certain systematic procedures that should be followed to have a free and fair election, to have a quality election, to have an election that people will say, yes, democracy, it is in place, because you know that there cannot be democracy without election. Democracy can never be full. Election is one of the ingredients of democracy. And for election to take place, there must be certain procedures that should be followed. Now, that brings us to the procedure of voting. What are those procedures? Number one, register all eligible voters and ensure constant review. You remember, before the last election was held, there had to be registration of voters. Some could not register when the last registration was on because they were not up to 18 years. Like you know, in our system here in Nigeria, you have to be 18 years and above before you register. So if the registration, maybe they said, okay, the other time we had permanent and voters card, you will disfranchise those that were not able to register for no fault of theirs, but because they were not up to the age. Another procedure is fixed date of election. The electoral institution have to fix a date, and that date should not be a date that is so close or a date that will be peak emergency. No, they will fix a date, giving specific dates and enough reasonable time for voters to be able to get their registration, for all logistics should be put in place. And with that date will be the yardstick that they will follow in planning the voting process. Number 3, call the political parties candidate. You know, the political parties must have their candidate, and before then, their candidate must have gone through so much scrutiny. They must go through primary election and so on and so forth, and that they will now present them, and these candidates will be from different political parties. So now they will be called upon, and they will give them all the necessary information that they needed. They will give them all the necessary rules that is needed, and they will also scrutinize them to look at them if they are really qualified to stand as candidates that can be voted. Number 4 is recruitment of ad hoc staff and training. You know, there should be human material that will be used in the day of election, in the process of election. And those staffs, mostly, some of them are not mostly, but some of them are not permanent staff of the electoral organization. So, in preparation for election, such staffs will be recruited and will be given the necessary trainings that is needed so as to be able to do an effective and efficient electoral process. Number 5, Enlightenment Campaign by electoral body. My learners, you will bear me witness, during the last election, before then, there were jingles on television, radios, posters, and so on and so forth. NGOs and other organizations were enlightening the people, the public, on why the election, how the election, when the election, and so on and so forth. That is to educate the electorate on how to go about peaceful and effective election. So before the election date proper, this will be done so as to achieve the aim of the election. Number 6 in the procedure is stakeholders, that is representative of political parties, hold briefing with electoral body and security agencies. The stakeholders will have to have a meeting with the candidates and all the people that are going to be involved in the days of election. They have to sit down, agree on the nature of the election, and it will be understood by everybody, will be agreed by everybody. Rules and regulations will be given to each and everybody. Then all of them will know which role they should play, the do's and don'ts of the election, so as everything will go on according to the constitution of the country. Number 5 is displaying of posts by Electoral Commission showing parties and their logos. You know, before the day of election, you have to know the parties that are in existence in your society. You have to know their logo, you have to know the candidates, you have to know their ideologies and their belief, so as to make your own choice. Election cannot just take place without you knowing all those things. If you do not know those things, you as the person that is going to cast your vote, you will end up casting the vote in favor of the person that you do not even intend him to be in that seat. So that is the reason why this should be done. And that is why, my learners, if you bear me witness, before the date of the election, posters were everywhere, on the walls, billboards, on the roundabout, and so on and so forth. This was done so as to enlighten the people, to let them have it at the back of their mind that this are the political parties that are in existence. These are their logos, these are their candidates, these are their ideologies, these are what they can do to us if we elect them. And with that, the people, the voters, on the day of election, they will already have whom they have at the back of their mind that they feel should be their best candidate. Number 8, displaying of list of registered voters. Before the election, you will find out that where you register, the eligible voters' pictures, names, and all their data are always placed there for everyone to go and check, so as to avoid any problem on the day of election. So that if there is any mistake, even in your name, your age, or the place you reside, you can have the right to go and complain so that it can be corrected. Because on the day of election, that can never be entertained. And that they do in order to avoid confusion on the day of election. So that is important. We also have commencement of voting, accreditation and voting. The commencement of voting on the day of election, you will now go and cast your vote. And after casting your vote, the next thing is counting of vote and declaration of result by the returning officers. Well, my learners, you know, democracy is the game of number. So on that day, it is the person that have the highest vote that is normally announced the winner. That is, he is the person that will man the seat of leadership, because he is the man of the people. The person with the highest vote is the man of the people. So that is that about procedures for election. Now, what are the basic qualifications for election? Basic qualification. Before somebody would be elected or vote and be voted for, what are the qualifications? Number 1, the person must be a citizen of Nigeria by birth, naturalization, or registration. A foreigner cannot be allowed until he is a citizen by registration or naturalization, or you are a citizen by birth. Number 2, the person must possess the prescribed educational qualification as prescribed by the Constitution. There are certain qualifications for certain positions. You must possess that. Number 3, the person must be a registered voter before the election date. The person must be a registered voter before the election date. Then the next other one is you must have paid 3 years tax before election as of when due. A person who is a tax defaulter will not be allowed to vote or to be voted for. So he must pay his tax. A person must be resident in the country or the constituency for a period of time before the election. You must be a resident of that constituency that you are standing for. You must be a resident of that place. And you must be sane. You cannot take somebody who has psychiatric problem and said you will vote him for, or you elect him as a representative. He must be sane. He must not be a convict of criminal offense. The person must have a clean criminal record, that he has never been convicted of any criminal offense. With that, he is qualified to stand for election. And the age for voting in our country is 18 years and above. The person must be 18 years and above before he can stand. Now, why do we do election? Why do we go all through this trouble? Number 1, the reason is peaceful means of changing government from one regime to another. With this election, we can change government from one hand to another without problem. Number 2, it reveals the opinion and mindset of the people. Like I told you, the majority carry the vote. The majority means he is the man of the people. And from that election, you will now know the mind of the people, who the people prefer more. It confers legitimacy on government. It makes the government to be government that are legit, that have the legal right to be in that position. The next one, it keeps the ruling government on their toes, because when they know that if they do not perform, they will not be elected the next time. So it will make them to stand on their toes and protect the interest of the people so that they will be elected next time. It promotes sense of accountability, just like I just explained. They have to be accountable to the people. It gives sovereignty to the people. Yes, it makes the people to be powerful, not the government to be too powerful than the people. It also encourages majority participation. It helps the people to participate in government. It promotes healthy competition between or among contesting political parties and candidates. And it also teaches electoral norms and values needed for growth and development. In trying to enlighten the voters, it helps the people to know about the electoral values, which helps in development of the country. My learners, I know by now you must have understood what election is, why election, and also the responsibilities of you as an electorate, and also the qualification of voters. But before I go, I will leave you with assignment. When next we meet, we are going to discuss more, seeing what are the responsibilities of the voters and so on and so forth. But before then, I will give you assignment. And number 1 of the assignment is define election. Define election. Number 2, mention and explain 2 types of election. Mention and explain 2 types of election. Number 3, mention 4 qualifications for election. Mention 4 qualifications of election. Why, my student? Time is not our friend. I will want to leave you here. When we meet next time, we are going to look more on this issue of election. But before then, you can use this reference, Standard Concise Civic Education for Schools and Colleges by Isaac Olaleye Olubumi. The second reference is Civic Education for Senior Secondary School by I.A. Emole. I still remain your civic teacher, Ruth Tanko Godwin. You can send your assignment on WhatsApp or give me a call on this number, 080-240-40570. I take it again, 080-240-40570. Please stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. Corona is real. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.